Ethan Wells was born in a small, quiet town where nobody really expected greatness to grow. His father worked long hours at a factory, and his mother cleaned houses to keep the family going. Life was simple and sometimes painfully difficult. But even as a kid, Ethan felt something inside him, a strange mix of curiosity and determination that other kids didn't have. While most children played outside, Ethan liked opening broken gadgets, old radios and discarded toys. He didn't know how they worked, but he wanted to learn. He wanted to understand why things broke and how to make them better. His parents couldn't afford fancy tools, so he used whatever he found: bottle caps, wires from old lamps, and even coins to tighten screws. Ethan wasn't the smartest kid in school. In fact, he often struggled. Other students laughed at him when he stayed quiet during class, and teachers sometimes assumed he wasn't trying. But Ethan wasn't discouraged. He simply learned differently. He needed time. He needed patience. And he needed someone to believe in him. One day, during a science project at school, Ethan built a small wind-powered generator out of cardboard, plastic spoons, and a broken toy motor. When he presented it, most students laughed, but his science teacher looked at him with surprise. She stayed after class and asked him, "How did you figure this out?" Ethan shrugged and said, "I experimented until it worked." For the first time, someone saw his potential. His teacher encouraged him to keep working, to keep experimenting, and to ignore the noise around him. That small encouragement became the spark he needed. As Ethan grew older, life got harder. His family struggled with money, bills piled up, and his father lost his job. Ethan wanted to help, so he took small jobs, delivering newspapers, repairing broken phones, and fixing fans for neighbors. People started calling him the little engineer, even though he had no formal training. When Ethan reached high school, he decided he wanted to become a real engineer, someone who built things that changed lives. But there was a problem. His grades weren't high enough. His family couldn't afford tuition, and many people told him his dream was simply too big. Still, Ethan refused to give up. Every night, he stayed awake reading free PDFs, watching online tutorials, and studying engineering basics on an old laptop that took 10 minutes to turn on. He didn't have the best resources, but he had something more important: relentless consistency. Years passed, and Ethan applied to a top engineering university. When the letter arrived, his hands shook as he opened it. He was rejected. People expected him to quit. Even his relatives told him to be realistic. But Ethan didn't quit. He applied again the next year, and again he was rejected. He applied a third time and a fourth time. 4 rejections, 4 disappointments, 4 moments where he could have said, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough." But instead, every rejection made him stronger. He realized rejection wasn't the end. It was information. It was guidance. It was a challenge. On his 5th attempt, something unexpected happened. Ethan didn't just submit an application. He included a portfolio of small inventions he had built over the years: phone chargers made from recycled parts, a homemade battery-powered lamp, a solar-powered fan. The review board saw something unique in him: not perfect grades, but creativity and resilience. This time, Ethan was accepted. University life was not easy. He was surrounded by brilliant students, advanced technology, and expensive equipment. Ethan felt out of place, like an outsider. He didn't come from wealth, he didn't have tutoring, and he didn't have confidence. But he had grit. While others studied 3 hours, Ethan studied 8. While others slept, he worked late in labs learning how to solder, design circuits, and code small programs. He wasn't competing with anyone else. He was competing with the version of himself that almost gave up. During his second year, Ethan noticed that many students with hearing difficulties struggled to follow lectures. The hearing aids they used were expensive and not very effective. Ethan decided to build something better. He started designing a low-cost hearing device using recycled materials, open-source software, and cheap sensors. He spent months prototyping, failing, and rebuilding. Some days, his device didn't even turn on. Other days, it produced terrible noise. But each failure was a lesson. People laughed again, just like they did when he was a kid. But Ethan kept going. After hundreds of hours of work, after countless failed versions, the device finally worked. It wasn't perfect, but it amplified sound clearly and cost less than $10 to build. When he tested it with a student who had hearing difficulties, she cried and said, "I can hear your voice clearly. Thank you." That moment changed Ethan's life. News spread across the campus, then across the city. Reporters wrote about the young engineer who built a hearing aid from scraps. Companies contacted him, but Ethan refused to sell the idea for profit. He wanted it to remain affordable. As Ethan entered his final year, he began dreaming bigger. He didn't just want to build devices, he wanted to build opportunities. He wanted to inspire others like him, kids who grew up with little money, little support, and little belief from others. He created free weekend workshops for children, teaching them how to build simple machines using cardboard, wires, and old electronics. Children loved him. Parents thanked him. Teachers admired him. And for the first time, Ethan realized something powerful. His success wasn't about being brilliant. It was about never giving up. After graduation, Ethan launched his own startup focused on affordable assistive technology. Investors were impressed not by his grades, but by his story, his dedication, and his purpose. His company grew faster than he expected, reaching thousands of families who desperately needed low-cost solutions. Years later, when Ethan was invited to speak at a major technology conference, he stood on stage looking at the huge crowd. He remembered the boy who took apart broken toys, the teenager who was rejected 4 times, the young man who stayed awake at night teaching himself everything he needed to know. He took a deep breath and said, "People told me I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't rich enough, that I didn't belong. But I learned one truth. Success is not about where you start. It's about how long you can hold on when the world tells you to let go." The audience stood and applauded. Ethan smiled, knowing he had proved something to himself and to the world, that extraordinary things can come from the most ordinary beginnings. Ethan Wells became a symbol of perseverance, a reminder that rejection is not the end, a lesson that dreams don't come true because of luck. They come true because someone refuses to stop trying. His story continues to inspire millions who feel like life is stacked against them, and his message remains simple, powerful, and unforgettable. Your starting point does not decide your destination. Your effort does.